This podcast contains explicit content.
Let's begin the show by starting it.
Hardly Focused. This podcast is Hardly Focused.
Ron, are you paying attention?
Nope.
Dissecting the news one tangent at a time.
When there's nothing left to burn, you have to set yourself on fire.
Motherfucking bootleg fireworks shit!
Hello. We're Hardly Focused. It's Jack and Fro. It is just the two of us tonight.
Just the two of us soundbite .jpg maybe.
I tried to play it and I failed. It did not do what I wanted it to do. Let me try that. Whoa. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. I'm pressing the wrong buttons everywhere. Welcome to Hardly Focused. It's Jack and Fro. It's the 17th of May. It is the 457th episode. You can get us at hardlyfocused.com. We're also on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We are wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on the YouTube at YouTube. I'm sorry. God damn it. hardlyfocused.com/YouTube. One day, with anything related to YouTube, I will get the URL correct for whatever this show will be called. So there you go. How you doing?
It's all right. We're going to be, we're working on the grocery store contract. We're going to be on aisle 13.
You and I.
Did it.
There it is.
How you
there
been?
It is.
How you been?
I've been doing just dandy.
Proved that you could pick up the studio and move it from place to place with not too many issues.
Yeah, no, I'm fairly mobile now. It's not too bad. As long as the internet holds true, I'm a remote podcasting mofo.
Nice. Proud of you.
It's so nice. It's very nice.
What'd you do this weekend?
Well, after hearing your tangent and the most annoying sound in the world last week, I actually started picking up Yoshi's Island myself.
Nice.
And I've been enjoying that and hating the sound effects all the same, all over again.
Oh, but it's such a good game, though.
It really is. It's well made. Nintendo knows how to polish up anything and make it look really good.
I don't know if it will play in the rotator file I have set up, but just in case it doesn't, for our listening audience, here's the Yoshi's Island production piece I made after I got Fro to go on a tangent about Yoshi's Island. Here we go.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Hardly Focused.
I've been playing for the first time ever Yoshi's Island, despite Baby Mario just being goddamn annoying and not cute in the least. That is a fantastic game.
You are listening to Hardly Focused.
It still really does trigger PTSD.
Yeah, and you and I don't have kids either, so like we don't have to listen to the real.
I was gonna say I hear the real thing, and I'm able to tune that out now.
So you know what you do, Mike? It's simple. When you got your kid who's crying and screaming, just throw eggs at it.
Eggs that you've processed from random Shy Guys.
Yeah.
What do you think I've been doing?
Hear more at hardlyfocused.com.
Oh man, that audio track is still so nice though. It's such a soothing sound until you get hit by something, and yeah, then it happens.
You ever think about it where you experience something for the first time, you don't really realize that you're experiencing it for the first time. You don't really put the effort into really taking advantage of the moment. I was kind of like that with Yoshi's Island when I first heard that music, and then it just instantly got stuck in my head. And I would put that up there with, and you know me, I'm a forever a Sonic kid, but I put that up there, I think, with some of the Sonic the Hedgehog tracks.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they had a good audio producer, whoever it was, when they were working on that. I mean, like Super Mario, yeah, it's got, Super Mario World is a good play, but like none of those songs are really memorable to me, but like that one just sticks out in my head.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually learned the other day, thanks to Reddit, as I learned a lot of things from Reddit, that Miyamoto from Nintendo, not allowed to ride a bicycle to work out of fear that he might get creamed on the way in. He is too valuable to the organization.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually what?
Yeah.
That's actually interesting to know. But at the same time, I mean, if you're like a multi-million-dollar asset to your company, they're gonna they're gonna make sure you're safe.
Well, don't forget the guy that invented the Game Boy and then later the Virtual Boy. I think his name was...
We don't talk about the Virtual Boy.
I believe his name was Gunpei Yokoi. Might be getting that wrong, but he died pretty tragically, actually, in a car accident. So I would only get or speculate what they would do with Miyamoto to keep him in pristine condition. Like, do they wrap him in bubble wrap and then like stuff him inside a container and then train by train get him into Nintendo proper?
I don't know if they let him leave Nintendo. That might have been the thing. They probably had a little house, set up in the basement for him.
He just lives there.
He just lived there, yeah. I mean, this clearly public transit is dangerous, even if you're flying in helicopter, as we all know by Kobe. So,
oh yeah, yeah. And then now I think the family of the pilot now blaming the accident that happened on Kobe and his, and his passengers in the helicopter. That whole thing is such a mess. Yeah, it's a mess.
How could you even like point out what happened? I mean, the only thing we know from the outside is, oh, that thing fell to the ground and it blew up. Like, how do you know what happened beforehand? They already cleared the guy for drugs. What was it, like his daughter like grabbing the helicopter handles like, yo, let me try.
And Kobe just like showers the pilot in money. Like, it's okay.
It's all right. She's my daughter. I'll pay you for it.
Well, I mean, there's also clear evidence that the weather conditions and the visibility were just garbage that day and not sufficient for flying a helicopter. So
right, I would gander to guess that made the biggest impact on this whole thing, not anybody in the cockpit or anything like that. They be like, hey, what's up? Like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, wait, crap, that's a cliff.
Yeah,
pull up.
I'd argue that whole defense, that's just out the window. Yeah, okay, you're just looking to get a few extra bucks out of the lawsuit.
I think that's what they're probably looking for. I mean, they're like, oh, Kobe got money, right? Well, I mean, might as well dip while our fingers are still wet. Well, I'm assuming everyone's from West Virginia now. Everyone has a southern accent.
Before we started recording, Fro and I were talking about Fallout 76, and as you know, that game takes place in West Virginia, which now I want to visit. I actually want to see West Virginia because of video games, because that's what video games do. They inspire me to want to visit real life places now.
I don't know. I didn't really want to go to Boston anymore when Boston was released.
Yeah, I mean, I just finished The Last of Us, getting ready for the sequel that's hopefully coming out next month, and the beginning of that game takes place in Boston, and it's, just like with Fallout 4, it's no different from real Boston in terms of the, the people you come across. So, well, you had a entertaining night. I had the complete opposite. I was, my mind was basically mush for various personal reasons. So I decided to take a drive. Got in my car. I haven't really driven anywhere. I haven't needed to drive anywhere. I think the farthest I've gone is just to the... Actually, well, it's either going to the supermarket or I've had to drop off recording equipment at Mike's place, and Mike lives... He's not close. So it's a bit of a drive. So,
how far away is he from?
Probably about half an hour.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta go north. You gotta go up to Fitchburg Way, but
right.
It is a hike, and my GPS always takes me on this back asswards side road right off Route 2. Route 2, like, for folks who are not local to the area, Route 2 not designed as a highway, so there's a lot of side roads that just emerge or split off from Route 2. And
it is one of the strange roads that, like, it is a highway, but yeah, like you're saying, it was never like intended to be that way. Right. And to get to Mike's place, you get off Route 2 and you go onto this road that just is
twisting, turning through the woods, going up a hill with no like guardrails or anything. So if you're doing any more than, if you're in a double digits for your speed, you're gonna hit a tree. And then there's a house that you drive by that, as I approach it, I always think, wow, that is a really, really nice looking house. And then I get close to it, and there are giant Trump MAGA banners everywhere. And
no,
nope, never mind. This house is not as aesthetically pleasing as I thought it was seconds ago.
Trump is clearly the cause of my success because I have a big house.
Yep. So I went on a drive. I went west and ended up in Springfield.
Ooh, not bad, not bad. It's a decent area over there.
Driving down...
well, not in Springfield, the area around Springfield. I just want to clarify that. Springfield itself is kind of a cesspool.
Yeah. There's a certain point. Guy went down Route 20 pretty much the whole way, and there's a certain point where it's... You basically don't want to have your doors unlocked at a red light. Let's put it that way. And... I drove down Main Street in downtown Springfield, and I would imagine on a Saturday night it would be a little more active. And just because of the way things are now, it was a ghost town. I saw one other person on the road, and it wasn't even late. And
almost like a Fallout game, right? Kind of post-apocalyptic. Nobody on the road.
It felt post-apocalyptic. I mean, everything, all the lights were on. Nothing was, it wasn't dark by any means, right? But like, it's going to come to be a point, like you see all these businesses. I drove by one place, for example, that it had a big sign up that said like open during construction. It's like, you're not open. Nobody's open. So
you got to call ahead and they'll be like, yeah, I'll meet you there.
Yep. I'll tell you what was open though. Taco Bell. I didn't stop, but I noticed, just because everything's drive-through,
of course.
Yeah, well, everything's drive-through only now, and there's the drive-through line out into the street, and people like taking a 2-lane road and making it into one. So
gross. I don't know if I'd ever care enough for Taco Bell to wait in a long drive-through line.
Yeah, if I want Taco Bell, dude, I'm gonna get it through like Grubhub or DoorDash, and I'll pay the delivery fee just if that means I don't have to physically go to a Taco Bell location, because they're not also necessarily in the safest of areas.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm sure half of the people in the drive-through line might have been Grubhub drivers. Speaking of Grubhub, I actually got my car fixed the other day, and the guy at the repair place was actually talking to another dude, and he was saying that they ordered Grubhub and it never got delivered. And then after like 2.5 hours of it not getting delivered, it just got canceled.
Weird.
Yeah, I would be super pissed.
Oh, I'd be mad too. I haven't had any issues with Grubhub yet, outside of just paying a ridiculous amount of money for something that you could get for far cheaper just by showing up in person.
$6 for the Taco Bell, $20 for the delivery charge.
Oh yeah. They've screwed up orders, but we actually, we ended up getting like a credit to our DoorDash account because contact the customer service and you become a Karen. I want to talk to the manager.
Your hair immediately grows out into the official Karen haircut.
The Kate Goslin.
Yes, the Kate Goslin. She really made that trend, didn't she?
Yeah.
Kind of weird to think.
Yeah, if you think of anyone, if I think of a Karen, I think of Kate Goslin. I mean, it's because you're right. They all stemmed from her look during that awful show that Kate loved.
She was kind of an asshole herself, though, wasn't she? I mean, she was her own Karen.
Yeah. I mean, her husband too wasn't any better. I think he ended up, they divorced, I think, and then he ended up getting kicked out of the house. Right.
Why were they famous again?
Because they had 8 kids. They had a set of twins, right. And then they had 6 more. The word isn't sextuplet, but they had tuplets. 6 of them.
Right.
So.
And then Octomom came along and was like, hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly. But Octomom ended up doing porn, I think.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can find that online on the old Pornhub.
I don't want to.
It's not worth watching.
Yeah, I don't want to.
It's not.
Quickly. So actually 2 things. I'm not even get a chance to get to the video game news here, but two things. One, Fred Willard passed away yesterday. Actor Fred Willard, at the age of 86.
Depressing.
And his voice you hear in the intro for their show, clip from Anchorman, him talking to Ron Burgundy. And I was already planning this. I was planning to change up the intro like for the show every 10 episodes or so. And I actually finished a new one the other night. And go figure, I finished building that intro and then Fred Willard dies the next day. So now I feel obligated to not change out the intros yet, considering I have his voice in the one that we've been using since the rebrand.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as I realized, when I was looking at his past works, he's been in a lot of things, and he was essentially working right up until his passing.
Yep, I didn't even realize he was 86. He didn't look it.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. I think I saw Hey Arnold on his repertoire list as well, which is pretty interesting. I don't know what voice he played, but
yeah, wouldn't be surprised. He was on The Simpsons in the episode when they go to the Super Bowl. He played the guy who was orchestrating that whole thing, Wally Kogan. He was in the Pixar movie WALL-E and holds the honor of being the only real life human to appear in a Pixar movie.
Wait, when did he appear in WALL-E?
Towards the end. He is the CEO of the By and Large Corporation.
Oh, yes, that's right. That is very right.
He was Phil Dunphy's father on Modern Family right until the end. And yeah, he's been in everything. That man has been in everything. And he also got busted for jerking it in a adult theater in Los Angeles.
Hey, him and Pee Wee Herman too.
Yeah, except his career did not come to a screeching halt. I think they tried to Me Too him as well, and it didn't work out. But yeah, he did some things he shouldn't have been doing.
Dude, I feel like everybody's getting Me Too'd.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that whole.
It really makes you wonder what goes on in Hollywood, man.
Well, I mean, money, drugs. There's a whole show right now on Netflix called Hollywood, and it's about Hollywood in like the 1940s when moving pictures was starting to take off, and to make it big in Hollywood, the whole premise of the show is prostitution. If you want to be a big Hollywood star, whore yourself out.
Gotta suck some dicks. Just, it has to happen.
I've watched one episode of it, and they nail the 1940s aesthetic. They don't nail anything else, including script writing, acting.
Oof. Well, I mean, you can't have I don't know. It was a cheap shot for Hollywood. Maybe Hollywood's kind of fighting back a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank God we got the coronavirus so we can stop worrying about, the Me Too movement.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, if you're Me Tooing right now, let's just put it this way. I mean, you should be 6 feet away from anyone you're trying to Me Too.
Well, if you're Me Tooing, or if you want to Me Too, just do it, because obviously the COVID news is going to take precedence.
Wait, did U2 know that the Me Too movement was going to be a thing? Is that why they're called U2?
Yeah, that's why I give their music away for free now. That's why they whenever you buy a new iPhone, it comes pre-installed with that album from like 5 years ago, which I maintain. I don't mind it, but I'm also a U2 fan. I won't say no to free music, but I love it when people just get so upset, especially like with the old iPhones that didn't like come with enough onboard storage to begin with. And then just to add insult to injury, they pre-install this U2 album on it. And then to uninstall it, you had to download a separate app from the App Store that would remove it.
Wow, was it that difficult to uninstall literally just music from your own library?
Yep.
That's insane. I didn't know it was that difficult to just uninstall it if you didn't want it. I mean, I knew it existed, but
well, it was with that album specifically. With all of their music, it's not hard at all to install and uninstall. But because that like the second you create or already have an existing Apple account, you get that album
interesting
for free. And
that must have been a strong contract with Apple.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it was unique, right? Like I get the approach, but at the same time, I think U2 also forgot that not everyone is a fan of U2.
I don't think they believe that even to this day.
I'll talk about video games real quick. The 5 big announcements in the world of video games from this past week. First and foremost, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remade. Not even remastered, but remade.
Ooh. Release date announced for it yet? Consoles? Like what? I need details, man.
PS4, Xbox One, and on the Epic Games Store on PC.
Nice. So I'll actually be able to play it.
Yep.
Beautiful.
And it's they're full-blown remakes of the first 2 games. It includes most of the original soundtrack intact. I guess there's only 5 songs that aren't included because of licensing issues.
Someone's gonna mod those in. Just give it time.
Yeah. And the only one that when I looked at the list of songs that weren't included, the only one I was actually sort of upset about was the Anthrax and Public Enemy collaboration from Tony Hawk 2. But the rest of the soundtrack is there. I don't care. And I need to pre-order it. If the pre-orders are available, I need to do it because I grew up on the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games, the first 2 specifically.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, the first 2. Those are the only 2 I really played. I mean, I had Underground or whatever. What was it? Skate, the one that was on the DS. I actually forgot the name of it.
Yeah. It's got like Skater, but it's like SK number 8.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the one. So that was the only one besides 1 and 2 that I like actually owned and played. But I played the shit out of 1 and 2.
Oh yeah. I had 1 and 2. My parents actually, is opposed to video games as they were. Oh, I had it on the Sega Dreamcast too. I was the coolest kid because everyone had the PlayStation or the N64 versions, and I was the only one that had like the most superior version out of the 3 on the Dreamcast.
Oh man, the Dreamcast was really ahead of its time.
And my parents actually like had no problem with me playing the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games. Like when I expressed interest in the second game when that came out, like they bought it for me, I think right when it came out, because it was a sports game. It was something that had to do with, being athletic, and
right.
They were all for it. So
maybe this will get him out of the darned house.
Hey,
nope.
It learned me on music. I never heard Rage Against the Machine before until I played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. So, and the same with Primus, the same with Dead Kennedys, Goldfinger.
The soundtrack on those games was,
oh my God.
I mean, we started talking about soundtracks in the beginning with Yoshi's Island, but I mean, Tony Hawk is another beautiful illustration of how a soundtrack can really make a game.
I think that was the first game that I played where I actually like recognized that all the songs in it were like licensed songs and not like just original pieces created for the game. Like I found out later on that like my cousin loved I think it was Road Rash 3D on the PlayStation, and that had licensed tracks in it, and I never like made the connection that the theme song was done by was Rusty Cage by Soundgarden. And peace to Chris Cornell. That's coming up tomorrow. 3 years since
I wonder
his passing. But
I mean, how many games before Tony Hawk actually had just actual music?
I think some
were there any?
Yeah, I think some sports games did. And I'd say sports games, anything that involved like vehicles or sports. All the other games didn't really have much. And Tony Hawk, I would say, was a landmark. The first Tony Hawk game was a landmark for what you should have for like licensed music. So, and
it was well focused. I mean, they really, if you were a skater back then, that's pretty much what you were listening to.
Yeah, and the folks who curated those soundtracks too knew what they were doing. All the Tony Hawk's games, with the exception of 5, which came out a few years ago, which is just all sorts of terrible. All of the Tony Hawk games had amazing soundtracks. I think it was American Skateland is what you had.
Yes, that's the one.
Because then I
still have it lying around somewhere.
The console equivalent was American Wasteland, and its soundtrack was all covers of like old punk songs done by contemporary bands, like at the time modern bands, and I have that whole soundtrack, and it's just fantastic. Like it's like Taking Back Sunday and Thrice and Fall Out Boy, but they're doing like Buzzcocks and Black Flag.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. So that's coming out in September. And the hope is that if these do well, they'll remake the third and fourth games as well, because 3 and 4 were also very highly lauded. I had 3. I didn't really get into it as much as the first 2, and I never played 4. But I've heard that both 3 and 4 are like held in the same regard, if not with 3 higher regard than the first 2 games. But I'm a little biased on that one.
3 and 4, were they on a different console, or were they still on PS2 and stuff?
Both PlayStation and PS4. I think PS2. Tony Hawk 4 was one of the last PlayStation 1 games released.
Gotcha.
So I got my mini PlayStation too. I might as well just, and I hacked it to load games on. I loaded Tony Hawk 2 on it to it. I don't know why I haven't loaded 3 or 4 yet. I should.
You definitely should. Now's your time.
Well, the problem is that damn thing it doesn't come with a DualShock, and you need a DualShock to play Tony Hawk. It is not an easy game to play with just a D-pad.
It really comes without the DualShock?
It doesn't come with a DualShock.
That became a staple, man. I mean,
right? No, it comes with the original controller that they released with it that was only around for a year before they introduced the analog sticks.
Yeah, the analog sticks really changed the game. I mean, for the most part, aside from placement, they still use 2 analog sticks on controls to this day. So it was a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Mafia 1 and 2 getting remade as well.
Oh, all right.
There's
it's the year of remakes. I like it.
Yeah, there's a Mafia trilogy pack coming out. Mafia 3, not the best game, especially from a technological standpoint, but 1 and 2. I played 1 and really liked it. 1 and 2 were very highly regarded, and the screenshots I've seen of the Mafia 1 remake look absolutely fantastic. I almost got like a Red Dead Redemption 2 vibe looking at it.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of potential with that. That's because the gameplay is fantastic. All it really needs is some updated graphics.
Yep. So that's I don't know when that's coming out. I think that's also later this year. But I think you also have to get Mafia 3 as part of it. So
they force it on you.
They better be like remaking Mafia 3 too, because that game was just a mess when it came out, and it never. It was one of those games that ended up in the discount bin very quickly.
Yeah, I don't even remember Mafia 3 at all, to be honest. I don't even remember it being announced. It was just kind of like beyond my care at that point.
It came out, I think, in 2016 or 2017, but I remember that the map for Red Dead Redemption 2 leaked like years and years ago. And the city that would become Saint Denis, which is based on New Orleans in Red Dead Redemption 2. Its original name was on that leaked map, New Bordeaux, which is where Mafia 3 incidentally takes place. So because the studio that made Mafia 3 is owned by the same parent company as Rockstar Games, people all of a sudden started speculating that Mafia and Red Dead Redemption were in the same universe. And then they changed the name of the city in development for Red Dead. So that is my knowledge of Mafia 3. Other than I have a free copy of it, and I've never played it or installed it.
So when you get a free game and it's not even worth playing.
Yeah, right.
That just goes to show you.
Well, I've seen too many videos of like people playing Mafia 3 where they accidentally like drive into a streetlight and their car just all of a sudden launches about 100 feet in the air.
That is, maybe that's a feature.
We didn't have time to QA this. Unreal, the Unreal Engine. It was announced that the Unreal Engine is free for use until whatever it is you're developing makes $1 million.
I would love to make $1 million on a game. That's actually really, really generous because, let's face it, most games are not going to, at least indie games, unless you're already an established developer, are probably not going to come close to $1 million. Yeah, we can't all release Minecrafts.
Yeah, I think this is the whole notion here is indie developers right now probably really taking advantage of being stuck inside with the lockdown and everything to work on things. So why not just give one of the most famous game engines available right now, one of the most well-known engines, just give it away for free? Because it's probably the same thing. They know indie developers are not going to make $1 million on their product unless it's a Stardew Valley, unless, like you said, it's Minecraft or Terraria. They're not going to make that much money, but at the same time, those folks know that and they don't care. Just here are the tools. Go nuts.
It's kind of a Microsoft strategy to a degree, where they pretty much give away the Microsoft products to students, so that way when they actually have to purchase them, they're so used to that product that they're not willing to switch to something that might be free, like Godot, or even switch to their competitor Unity, which I think Unity takes like 5% after like 100 grand. I don't remember the exact details of that one.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's Epic. I thought it was Epic that made the Unreal Engine. Yeah, it is Epic. So good on them. Epic knowing how to knock it out of the park, not only with the Unreal Engine, but even the Epic Game Store now too, with the stuff that they've been putting up for free in the Epic Game Store. I mean, I haven't taken advantage of it because I've already owned a lot of the games that have shown up, but and the fact that they have all these exclusivity deals as well.
Yeah, they're really fighting against Steam. They're working hard.
There weren't many Steam competitors until the Epic Game Store came out. I think they had I think there was Uplay, which
Ubisoft's I have a few games on that, but only because I pretty much have to.
Right. Like I think I only have it for like SimCity, because I bought the awful SimCity game from like 2013 and it was on that service. But then Rockstar released a launcher for all of their own games, but like they know well enough, don't compete against Steam. You can still buy all those games through the Steam store. It's just you have to install the Rockstar launcher to even launch a game. It's a total exhibit move. You have to launch, open one launcher to launch a game, which then opens another launcher to then launch the game. It's so
that's
stupid.
how Rocksmith works the same way. Even though I open it on Steam and I got it on Steam, I have to log into my account from those guys in order to even play it. Dude, or to save my high scores or some shit like that.
I'm so cheap. I gotta get myself a cable so I can play Rocksmith.
Yeah, that's right. You own the game and you don't even.
I know.
Oh, that's too much, man.
Yeah. I bought it like 5 years ago. I think I've installed it and I think launched it just to make sure it works, and that was it.
It's definitely worth playing. I mean, you can jam along to your favorite tunes. They actually stopped, I think it was like a day or two before my birthday, April something, or May 31st, I think. They're officially working on a new project, and they've stopped doing DLC for, by DLC, I mean they do song packs for Rocksmith, and they've got over like 3,000 songs in their library now.
Well, it sounds very similar to like Rock Band. They did the same thing with that. The DLC dries up at some point and they stop releasing new things for it. The band that I was in that had a song in Rock Band, I think they shut down the whole content creator store around that. So I don't know how you can download that song now and play it. But do you remember?
No idea.
Do you remember we went to Game Underground? You and me.
Yep.
We went in. And to even play Rock Band, like you had to like sign up or you had to pay some amount or something. And I walk in and everyone in the store knew who I was just because I was in the owner's band. And I remember one dude just like calling out to whoever's wearing a store, and he goes, "Hey, can the drummer for Jesus Candy play his band song in Rock Band?" So, speaking of the Epic Game Store, if you don't have it yet, Grand Theft Auto 5 free to download until the 21st.
Nice. I've had GTA 5 forever now. I mean,
I know. I have no reason to get. I have it on. I've had it on pretty much everything it's been released on. But in that game, dude, if you look at the charts, if you look at any video game charts, Grand Theft Auto 5 shows up as like in the top 10, top 5.
Oh yeah, easily.
It's still, people are still buying it because Grand Theft Auto Online, like it's still selling copies. Like they're not counting how much money it's making in the online component. They're actually saying like month to month, people are still buying copies of this game to play.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was all the people that are getting banned from the. They have to get a new copy in order to reactivate their account.
That would be nuts. That would be absolutely insanity if you could get banned at like the SKU level, the activation code level.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think they have it that way. I mean, cheating's still super duper rampant in the online version. So,
yeah, because you can do like device bans.
I mean, I would go on there and,
You can do device level bans. You can go in and like literally ban by your MAC address.
Right. But I mean, short of buying a new console in that case, it's going to be a little tricky.
Right. Finally, the big one, in my opinion, and I've already pre-ordered it. Paper Mario, the Origami King.
Oh, snap. I haven't even heard of this release yet. I'm slow.
Oh, yeah. It was announced earlier in the week. I think like on Thursday. They didn't do like a Nintendo Direct or anything. They were just like, oh, hey, by the way, Paper Mario coming out in a couple months.
That's fantastic.
So it'll be on the Switch. You can already pre-order it. I've already done it. So I never played any of the Paper Mario games before. So I'm looking forward to it.
They're really good. I have the 1,000-Year Door, and it's a good one. It's definitely one of those games that's worth playing. It's a weird concept. Like the whole thing's kind of strange. Like paper, but just like Nintendo does with any weird gimmick, they usually pull it off pretty darn good.
Well, let's pull out Danny Bonaducci and circle back to what we first started talking about in this episode in Yoshi's Island. Wasn't Yoshi's Island sort of the precursor to Paper Mario, just based on the design alone?
Yeah, it really was. They really solidified an art style there that they've still kind of like carried on in both the Paper Mario games and the Yoshi's Island or the Yoshi Story games. They seem to go like, I don't know, what Woolly World was a very interesting one where like they literally made everything look like fabric.
Well, it's almost like cell shading, right? Like cell shading is it's easy on the platform. It's an easy art style that doesn't use a lot of resources. So I think that was sort of like before people were doing cell shading, because this is back before 3D games really took off. When you do these paper style games, it's sort of like the same thing.
Yeah, it kind of is, and it allows for a certain degree of artistic freedom as well. Like you can make it kind of animated, and it's not super hard on like the processing or anything like that, or space wise. You don't have to worry about. I know cell shading was super big because you could put facial movements in there, and it was just you can make really good expressions and like kind of get emotions conveyed really good, even with the cell shading style.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, I remember reading that they, at some point late in the development cycle, for no reason at all, switched to having everything cell shaded. And no explanation why. It did not save the game in the least. It did not make it any more stable or easier to play. It was so random that like the game wasn't like visually the best looking thing when it was announced, and they were gradually showing gameplay and things, and then all of a sudden one day they're like, yeah, hey, we're releasing the game in a month, but we're changing everything over to cell shading. Because
I feel bad for the art people.
Yeah, that game was a cash grab. That's what that was. That was a, hey, we need to fulfill this contract. We need to churn one more thing out. I know. Let's drink a laxative and just release the product that comes.
Oh man, contractual games they're just as bad as free micro transactions in those senses, where it's like it's literally like you're trying to please the shareholders more than you're trying to please like the people that want to play the game.
And you don't really see that too much, where there's a game that just, it seems like it's rushed out literally to fulfill a contract, sort of like what you get with like music, where like a really subpar album is released, or like a greatest hits collection is released just because like the recording contract stipulates, hey, you need to put out one more thing before your contract is fulfilled. You don't really see that too often with video games.
Right. And honestly, I hope we don't see that super often with video games anytime soon. I mean, you don't want to kill these developers and make them feel like their work is for naught, because it takes a lot to make a video game. So, I mean, you got to have some sort of passion with it.
I was even thinking, like, I'm playing Fallout 76 earlier, and I'm just thinking about the world, and just the fact that the world is, in my opinion, even if the game, it has its faults. There's a lot of vocal critics out there, but everyone agrees that the world is the best that Bethesda's ever made. But I'm thinking about like, okay, so MMOs are on the same level. Fallout, I guess, Fallout 76, I guess, is technically an MMO, but other MMOs at the same level where you have to put a lot of time and effort and manpower into designing a world, and then those games, they don't last forever. And some of them have only lasted a few months after launching. So just imagine all of that work just going out the window. Like,
oh, I know.
It's got to be nothing more crushing than spending, a good portion of your, time on Earth doing some, bit of development for a video game only to have it, tank. And
yep.
If it's like a games as a service, just disappears into the ether after only a couple months. Like, that has just got to be soul crushing.
Especially when you see like certain other games that are still like alive and kicking, like Tibia.
Somehow
a 2D isometric game with no sound has managed to live since 1997, where like, I see Elder Scrolls Online like struggling and giving stuff away for free.
Dude, that Tibia is the Zsa Zsa Gabor of video games. it just could not die. Everything could be wrong with it, and it still continues to exist.
It found its place on Earth, and it's holding on tight.
All right, we had enough there for 2 segments, so we'll come back and we'll talk about what the coronavirus is doing to the rest of the world. We will return.
What's